And we're back on the plots. Lots to do today. Gonna get plenty of stuff done. Look at this. That's a gift that for Magical Make. He's got a few leftovers there that he's given us, and it's good because we're well behind on the starts. You want to see his plot? In fact, I'll show you it. But first, we're gonna put the kettle on, we're gonna have a brew, 'cause that's the first thing you should do. So I managed to get a full brew out of that kettle, well enough to fill my flask up, which is fine, isn't it? We'll be down for an hour or two today, and obviously we've got the antiviral disinfectant there as well, boys and girls, to keep the old corona at bay. It's good for coronaviruses and all sorts, this, apparently. Coronavirus, chickenpox, HIV, herpes, coming useful, hepatitis C and B, rubella and measles, that stuff. Good. Let's crack on. Blue Star Dave, check him out, he'll be in the description below. If you like my channel, you'll love Dave's channel. Alright, check him out, he's great. Look at that, all much further along. Spring cabbages, well, the cabbages are in there on that side. They've been started last year in his polytunnel, and those are this year's cabbages and what have you. Brassicas on that side going around inside the brassica tents. These are the trampoline frame tents we keep banging on about. He's got loads in, look. All the potatoes are in these buckets. He's got potatoes in there that have chitted and he's fleeced them up, which is what I'm going to do next. It's just a cornucopia of stuff in the ground. It's great. Lettuce is in there. Mick and Henry are doing it at the moment because Henry's given up his plot, but he's working these plots with Mick. They're doing it as a little team of growers. So Henry will come on, then Mick will come off, and then Henry will come on, then he'll go off, and Mick will come back on, and they're doing it in tandem like that. It's superb. He's got a superb setup here, mate. Check him out, Old Mac Darby and Old Mac Darby's farm. He's always got something on the go. Big double greenhouse, two smaller greenhouses that he managed to fit together there to make that big long one. That is a 16-foot greenhouse now, that. My old mucker. Right, let's crack on with our side. So we're going to continue with our potato trenching in this big long bed. I'm going to have to clear off all the detritus that's on top of that bed. But we're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 rows in total with 3 potatoes in it. So that's going to be 36 seed spuds in there. And this is for the main croppers. So we've got the Desiree in these two. There'll be Desiree there as well. So there's going to be 3 rows of the Desiree. There's going to be 3 rows then of the King Edwards. And then there's going to be 3 rows then of the Maris Piper, where these are going. And then we're going to have the Sarpo Mira here. But the Sarpo Mira are not quite ready. They've not chitted enough. So I'm just going to get the Desiree, the King Edwards and the Maris Piper in today, and then leave it another week or two and get the Sarpos in once they've chitted nicely. There's debate about Sarpos and chitting and all that kind of thing. You don't really need to do it, but they do make for better plants apparently once they are chitted and they've started off. The sproutings. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to follow the time and trusted method of the chitting of the potatoes in this bed. All right. So we're doing 2 parts blood, fish and bone and 1 part of organic chicken manure in there, and that's going to be the feed for the potatoes. So you don't need a lot of chicken manure really, because too much nitrogen, you get a lot of top growth but it's not necessarily growing your potatoes underneath there. You do want decent top growth because the photosynthesis will assist in the process. But the bloodfish and bone, the bone meal, if you like, is good for the root system. So you'll get the good, strong, healthy plants if you do a mix like that. So 2 parts of the bloodfish and bone to 1 part of the organic chicken manure. So I'm going to put some fresh compost in the base of that, just a sprinkling in the base of that, and then we'll do a mix with that in. I'll show you. Yeah, so a sprinkle of that has gone into there, just to cover the base, and then we're going to be putting our spuds in. So all I'm going to do here is get some of the mix, a handful of the mix, into there evenly. Sorry for my finger going over the lens there, boys and girls. Get some of that in. Not an exact science, but that's going to be the feed for the spud. So once that's in, I'm going to again dress it on the top with some more of that, like that. So we're not burning the bums of the potatoes with the feed. And then when the spud sends its roots out, it'll seek out that nutrition and go down, hopefully. That's the idea. And pick up the nutrition as the plant's coming through. And you don't need to put anything above where your potatoes are going to be. You just need to put it where the bums of the potatoes are going to be. So that's your nutrition. Anything above doesn't need it. The tubers will grow in the soil as they're coming through. So in they are, about 10 inches apart. It's not an exact science, potato growing, but we try and give them a good start. You could space them further apart, and potentially you'd get some bigger spuds, but we're happy with that. Let's do it. So they're going to be covered then with a bit more of this compost, just to cover them up. And then we're going to backfill then the soil that we've dug out for the trench. And that's us. That's the next phase. Here's a special guest there, Mike.
Stand on the podium.
He's on his podium. He's lecturing.
2 tomatoes for you.
Oh, nice one, mate.
Gardener's delight.
Gardener's delight, money maker.
Are they?
Money maker, yeah, 16th of the 2nd, 20.
Yeah, your money maker. I'll have some gardener's delight in a bit, I'm just potting them up.
Nice one, mate. Thanks very much. Cheers, pal.
No problemo. Cheer the well. Cheer the love.
Cheer the love. Spread the joy. Now this stuff is, it's either bindweed. I think it's bindweed, that actually. Let's see if we can show you a comparison between bindweed and horse's tail. But these beds and these plots in general are plagued with bindweed and horse's tail. So as I'm digging out, you can see that I'm coming across it. It's an invasive weed and it's a pain in the bottom. So let me just have a look now. See, I think that one is, yeah, that one's horse's tail, and that's going to be bindweed. So as I'm rooting through and digging out, I'm pulling these out and just putting them there for the time being, and then they'll be taken off the plot and burned, because you don't want this stuff when these split down. If that got chopped up, so say I was using a rotavator or something that got chopped up, each one of the little stems, the little roots, becomes another plant. You don't want that, definitely not. So the trench is a spade's width, which is about 10 inches by a spade's depth, and in this particular case that's about 12 inches, and that's your trench depth. And as before, composting, some of the mix, potatoes in, a bit more of the mix and compost until they're covered up, and then we'll pile it back up with the backfill that we've excavated there. But if you look at that, there's a lot of bindweed and horse's tail in there, so I'm not going to eliminate that. I'm not going to be able to, but I'll try and keep on top of as much of it as I can. All right. So there's 3 King Edwards. They're in. King Eddies. So as I say, I'm going to have 9 King Eddies growing in here, and the 9 Desiree, or Desiree, whatever it's called, and then your Morris Pipers, and then eventually in a couple of weeks' time, in go the Sarpo Miras up there. The Sarpos take longer to chit, obviously, but as I say, a bit of compost, bit of mix in there. Top them off now with a bit more of that until they're covered up, and then the backfill goes in. So that bed needs to be labelled up, and we've got 6 rows of 3 in there. Have we? Or we got more than that? 1, 2. Yeah, we've got 6 rows of 3 in there. So that's 18 seed potatoes in this top section. There'll be another 18 going into there. I'm just clearing that off now, getting everything off the top of it, and that'll look like that shortly. But we could do with labelling them up and explaining to me in about 3 months' time what I've actually planted in there. And so to do that, we've got these. So these were the bed slats from the little cot bed of our James's when he was a little one. So we're going to chop them in half, those, and label them up. So there are the labels. Better if they'd have been painted white, I know, but I don't have any white paint down here, and we're only allowed a certain amount of time to be outdoors, which I think is at the moment ridiculous. I mean, if you're walking down to the plot, avoiding people, you get onto the plot, disinfect everything. I'm clean as a whistle before I leave the house, but I don't want to go into this, but yeah. We're only allowed to spend a couple of hours tops down here. But yeah, so there we go. And we're just going to crack on. And on the back face of that, there's the date. 28th of the 3rd, which was last week for the Desiree. And 4th of the 4th, 4th of April, which is this week, for the King Eddies. Right, let's crack on. Alright, and that's nearly the hour done. So we've got the Morris Pier in there, King Eddies, and the Desiree. As I said, the Sarpos are not ready, but they're going to be going into there. They've not chitted properly yet, so I'm going to leave them another week or 2. They're in the egg trays at the moment, so hopefully they'll be fine. But yeah, there's our little signs, our little labels, made out of the old cot bed slats, and that should do us, shouldn't it? They're all buried under there. I'm not earthing them up, I'm just going to let them come through because they're already about 10 inches down, so when they do come through, I'm just going to leave it at that. They'll have 10 inches of grow space, they'll have another 10 inches that way, they'll burst through, they'll come through and find their own little roots underground where they're going to be sending the spuds out. Hopefully that bed will be full of spuds, because they'll fill these gaps in here between the two rows. Right, that's the plan anyway. I'm going to give them a good water in there, and then that'll be it. So as you can see there, between our rows of potatoes, where we've done our trenches, I've just made a bit of a drill with this stick exhibit here. So you just basically go down doing a shallow drill. It's about 1/2 inch or something like that deep, and it's just deep enough then to drop some seeds in. And we're using these here because it's we're hoping for a quick catch crop of radish, and that's a bit of a fancy Dan radish called Bright Lights. Very expensive, that 75p for approximately 350 seeds. So what we're doing is we're putting them, I don't know if you can see the little seeds, about 1 inch or so, 1.5 inches. Don't worry if you're dropping 2 in at the same time, doesn't really matter. As the seedlings come up, if you want to thin them out, you just pluck out the weaker of the 2 seedlings and let the other one crack on. And they can be directly sown into the ground. Back end of February, March, this time of year up here, April, I wait on until I start planting anything out in the ground, because we're obviously at a bit of a colder climate than the southern people. But now's the time, the ground's warm enough really now for it. We are due a bit of a cold snap, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover those up with a bit more of the compost and then give them a water in. Actually, I'm going to give them a water in with my little watering can now, actually. I'm thinking on. Okay, so it's a little top dressing there with the compost, and with our little watering can, we're just going to do this over the top. Give me a drink, give me a drizzle. Now that shouldn't be displaced too much, shouldn't displace the seeds too much, and I think we'll be fine there. Okay, so hopefully that'll be our catch crop. I'm not even going to bother marking those because I'll know what they are when they're coming up. I know that they're going to be the Bright Lights Radish, because they'll all be in a line. They'll actually mark themselves out there in a line as the seedlings come up. So yeah, I think that'll do for today, won't it? Got to get off. One more thing, sorry, before we go. Don't forget your loved ones at this time. Mum's self-isolating, so she's sort of on lockdown. She's locked herself down because she's in her 70s. It's her decision to do that, but what we want to do is to make sure that she's not going stir crazy. So here's 6 buckets pre-drilled. Into those buckets go 6 well chitted seed potatoes, and I'm also going to be taking a 75 litre bag of that and a 20 litre bag of that, and also it's about a quarter full of the seed mix, so she'll have everything she needs to get started and get some potatoes off and running. I'm also going to take her some carrot seeds so she can have a go at the carrots, and I'll be nipping down off and on. Can't see her physically, well I can, but I can't get close to her. So I'm going to knock on the door, she'll open up the front door while I step back to the front gate, and then she can step back, then go back in the house, and I'll deliver the stuff for her. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so thanks to Mick Derbyshire, old Mac Darby's farm. I'm going to get those in the greenhouse now. Keep calm, keep growing, carry on. Keep yourselves fit, healthy. There's no better place for me than down here, excuse me, on the allotment plots. Reason being, you've got all the fresh air, you're exercising, you're away, you're socially distant from everybody else, and yeah, free vitamin D from the sunshine and all that, which is very good for your immune system. So yeah, keep on keeping on. If I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window. This has been Guru Mafinda signing out. And remember, keep growing with your head down, and we love you all. Catch you later.